All right, check it out. Spring cleaning isn't just for your home. Relationships, like our living spaces, can accumulate clutter over the time. So Kathryn Thalken with Thrive and Shine says now is the perfect time to remove all the emotional clutter and reset your relationship. She joins me to share how to make that happen. This I love.
Yeah, I mean, I do too.
Yes, it's such a great idea. So why should couples kind of take the time to spring clean their relationships?
Yeah. So spring is that time of renewal, right? It's where we go through our closets, we go through our house, we go through all kinds of things. And just like cleaning our home and our spaces, relationships can build up clutter over time too.
I think that that's a really interesting concept, because we do think about, and there is something that's really refreshing when we do that kind of spring cleaning and removing the clutter from our homes. But that really does apply when it comes to the relationships, because there can be a lot of emotional clutter and, stuff underneath the cushions and, stuff you need to clean out. Why is that so important?
Yeah, so what we know about relationships is that, of course, if things go unsaid, if we don't deal with stuff right when it happens, it's going to build and build and build. And we're going to get things like resentment or distance in a relationship, and we're going to create issues in time. And time is going to create even more issues with those.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that we need to mop up and improve, including communication. That's what, from what I understand, that's like number one when it comes to issues affecting relationships.
It is. Communication is number one, finance is number two.
Oh, wow.
And so communication, it's that piece where, are we actually listening to our partner? Are we actually hearing what they're saying? Or are we thinking about a rebuttal in our head to what they're going to talk about, right? Are we active listening?
I think that's a really important point, is to be able to listen. If you listen and if you reflect back to that person what you've heard them say, it doesn't mean that you agree with them.
Right.
You're just allowing them to feel heard.
Exactly.
And that's really, really critical.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's also talk about these lingering conflicts. We do take a tally, don't we?
Yeah.
We kind of tally up in our heads what they've done wrong, and we have a tendency to have a harder time letting go of that baggage.
Yeah. So that's where I talk about resentments that can come in, because if we have a conflict and we don't deal with it pretty quickly, then I'm going to sit back and I'm going to start having these moments where I think back to that conflict and I think back to, are you doing this again? Is this happening again? Rather than dealing with it when it happens. And so we will build and build and build, and just like things pile up in our home, physical things, emotional things can pile up too.
That's a perfect analogy. All right, so let's talk about some of the more healthy habits that we can start to incorporate so that we can have a stronger connection with some of these key relationships.
Yeah. So first and foremost, are we spending intentional time connecting with our partner? Are we actually taking time? And when I say intentional time, I'm not talking about you have to spend 30 minutes, an hour. I'm talking about 10, 15 minutes. Sitting down, actually talking about, hey, what's going on for you? What's happening? Let's get deep with some things. Are you planning regular date nights? Are you having those moments together where you're having intimacy? And speaking of intimacy, how's your emotional intimacy, right? What does that look like? Are you actually building those pieces of your relationship, or do we need to get back to doing that?
I think that this could also apply not only to relationships with your significant other, your spouse, but this is a wonderful thing that you can do when it comes to other really key relationships with parents, in-laws, your children. Taking the time to really focus on that and kind of do a reset is an important thing that we should apply to all the relationships that are in our lives.
Definitely, most definitely. Any of this can apply to any and all relationships, right? Because having that connection, that's how we get to know other people. That's how we feel, again, close to other people, is connecting with them.
Okay, well, other than having a fantastic analogy that works really well when it comes to spring cleaning, why is spring an ideal time to kind of clutter-free our relationships?
Yeah, so here's the thing. We've spent the first quarter of the year running and doing the rat race and doing all different kinds of things, right? And now is our time to take a breath, reset, and go, okay, do I want the rest of my year to look like this, or do I want things to look differently, right?
When do we know if what we're doing, what we're attempting to kind of declutter our relationships, when do we know that we might need an outside person? We might need some additional attention that can give us, a unbiased perspective on the circumstance.
So if you find yourself in conflict a lot of the time with your significant other, or if you find yourself, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, or you feel like you're not being yourself, or you feel like, hey, I can't actually say what I want to say, right? that's a time that we typically go, ooh, okay, we may need some assistance here.
All right. So I want to find out too where we can find out more information about you.
Yeah.
Because you have some fantastic insights and tips for us.
Thank you. So thriveshineco.com or my phone number is 817-415-0908.
This has been really helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you again for joining us.